1, 2, 3. It is so cold. Kind of late to do a live stream or live. Wait for anybody to join. One, two, three. Okay, folks. Cheryl Maloney here. We are facing international trade tariffs with Canada and the U.S., and countries are facing dissemination of their economies and stuff like that. I want to talk to you guys about the Mi'kmaq people. We have a treaty called the Watertown Treaty with the United States of America. And it's interesting, the treaty. Oh, I got a slow connection. The treaty is interesting because we were the first ones to sign a treaty with the newly formed United States of America. And it was just not even 2 weeks after the Declaration of Independence was signed, George Washington sent his guides and his aides to the Mi'kmaq, Maliseet, Passamaquoddy, Wabanaki tribes. And they needed us. There was only 600 U.S. soldiers at the time. And the indigenous nations under the Watertown Treaty came to the aid of the United States of America. So I'm going to just turn this so you can read this little thing I put on here. This is the treaty, or a piece of the art I did on the treaty. This is Hamilton. And Hamilton was this brilliant mind that wrote that's a Hamilton playing New York. But he was a brilliant mind, Alexander Hamilton, that wrote the Declaration of Independence for the United States, or wrote a lot of it. And his strategy, his mind. So the first thing they did, George Washington down here and Alexander Hamilton up there, one of the first things they did after the declaration, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, was to send their governors of Massachusetts to and letters to the tribes and saying we need military aid and support. And the indigenous people came, and the Mi'kmaq of Nova Scotia came, and in the notes to the Watertown Treaty, I was reading it and just reading in the notes. And I thought this was neat because this is one of the first times that the United States of America was being referred to as the United States of America. They had only been incorporated or declared independent July 4th. So by July 17th, they were negotiating with the Mi'kmaq and the Watertown. So this is the notes to the negotiation, or the notes. And it says, the St. John's and Mikmaq tribes are now brothers and become one people with the United Colonies. These colonies have lately, by the Great Council at Philadelphia, declared themselves free and independent states by the name of the United States of America. And that wasn't President Washington, that was President to the Maine Council, or Massachusetts Council. But these are the notes. And this is the relationship. The Mi'kmaq people, indigenous peoples, and their partners came through the woods in the early days of the United States of America, and we offered our support. We are the foundation of the United States of America, the Mi'kmaq people and the Mi'kmaq tribes, and we ate it. We were aides, the very first aides to the United States of America. So, how are we going to, we need to talk to Carney and Trump, but especially our Prime Minister, Mark Carney. I hope somebody gets this to him. I know Jaime Baptiste is and Cody Blois, they're my local MPs in Nova Scotia. They can see this. I've been calling them for, I've been calling Cody, my MP, for weeks, and he's just not answering. Months, actually, not answering. He's going to answer me soon, because right now my Mi'kmaq people, my family, can't sell our elvers or our lobsters in Canada because the Canadian government said we're not allowed to trade our products in Canada. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Tim Houston says we can't sell our lobster in Nova Scotia. But Donald Trump, we're going to ask Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump, and the American people, the governor of Maine and Massachusetts, all these treaty partners we have, the Mi'kmaq want to land our catches there. We're asking for aid from our most loyal, the number one partner to the Mi'kmaq was, first treaty was the United States of America. And you needed us, and we were there. So we're asking Mr. President to open the free trade and open us a Machias truck house. There's a Machias truck house, historical truck house in the United States and in Nova Scotia in the British treaty. And the truck house were negotiated by Indigenous peoples. We're the ones that asked for these trade alliances. So that means we've been trading. And amazing head of states. The Mi'kmaq leaders were very, very smart. We went to the Vatican in 1600 and we got to deal with them. Donald Trump, I want to tell you who you should learn to get a deal from. The Mi'kmaq people. I'm not trying to be witty or anything. Oh, no, I am totally trying to be witty, and I'm going to just love this. So we're going to do this. I'm on a roll now. Don't stop me. Deals. You want to know how to make a deal? I'll show you. 1609, the Mi'kmaq sent a chief over to Rome in partnership with France. France was a great ally. They never tried to overtake us or anything. We're equals. And we wanted to know what was going on in Europe. We went there. We stayed there for a year. We studied. We came back. We counseled with our people, and we said, we need a deal of the century, or not even of the century, 1600, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2000. We have the deal of 5 centuries. The Mi'kmaq with the Pope. We secured a deal that allowed us to be baptized and be independent Christian nations. Right? So you can't conquer us. So that's one part of this deal. The second part of the deal was that the Mi'kmaq negotiated that we were able to exercise our spirituality any way we want, whether it was outside in the sweat lodge or in the church. We negotiated, our heads of states, religious freedom. Religious freedom for 500 and some years now. So, Mr. Trump, Mr. Carney, everybody over the world, follow and watch with the Mi'kmaq. So that was one deal. The next deal, Mr. Trump, is in the 1700s. We signed nation-to-nation deals, peace and conflict, peace and friendship treaties, covenant chain of peace and friendship treaties with Britain. So that's the second deal of the century, because that's only 400 years of a deal. And that is with the British Crown. Now, we have a problem in Canada right now because Mr. Prime Minister Carney, and if you see I'm trying to say, okay, our deals with nation to nation, take these towers. These towers are nation to nation, right? Mi'kmaq and Mi'kmaq in the U.S. And then we had the Mi'kmaq in Britain. And in Britain, what they did is from Britain, they went and made their governments and laws underneath them. They made a constitution They made an Indian Act, they made regulations, they made Fisheries Act. So Canada made all these deals under their authority with Britain. But that authority was nation to nation with the Mi'kmaq. So why I'm saying this about the second deal of the century is because King Charles, you're forgetting your most loyal, allied, important nation in this game with Canada and US. The Mikmaq Treaties of Peace and Friendship lay the foundation for Canada and US to be in this country. And why that's a problem right now is because our dear Prime Minister, and I like him, invited King Charles, and King Charles accepted. He's coming to Canada to open our Parliament May 26th, May 27th. Now this is important, and this is what needs to go out to the world, right? Deal of the century. Her Majesty, Your Highness, King Charles, please come and meet with our heads of states, the Mi'kmaq. You have a nation-to-nation treaty with the Mi'kmaq, and you should first come and meet with the Mi'kmaq Grand Chief and our council and our leaders and our matriarchs, and then you can go and meet with the rest of Canada. But because we are your nation-to-nation based partners, protocols, our protocols, your protocols, respect, the royal visit must start in Mi'kmaq. It must start in Mi'kmaq because we negotiated these agreements, these amazing deals of the centuries, 4 or 5 centuries, hundreds of years. And we've never forgotten them, and we've honored them, and we respected them, and we went to the courts to uphold them. And we've been winning. So there's no reason why in this world that King Charles should not be coming and meeting with the Mi'kmaq people and our leaders, our nation-based Grand Council leaders. And I don't disrespect the Indian Act leadership because they have important roles to play in the communities on reserves regarding reserve matters. But any matters regarding rights are not covered in the Indian Act. Those are held by our Grand Chief, Grand Council and the people. And how do you get that? How do you do that as a rights holder? If I'm living on the reserve and my chief knows in our community, we have an amazing process where free, prior, informed consent is built into our governance. So she has mandate. Chief Michelle has mandate to speak on rights because she knows, and we know, she's going to come to us for free, prior, informed consent. She will come to us and say, this is what we're talking about. What do you guys, do you agree or disagree? Or do you even want to talk to these people? And we have that, but other reserves and other Indian Act bands do not have that. So their members are being represented on rights by Indian Act tables with no mandate. And that's why those tables are not working. So there's a very easy way to get out of that. I'll show you guys. You stand up and you say, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. World, Mr. Chief Counsel, I do not want my Aboriginal treaty rights to be addressed by the Indian Act system because they don't have the mandate. Instead, I'm going to take my rights and we're going to either, one, the Indian Act chief system can build a mandate like Sabaganagati did. We have a great model and we'll share it for free. So you can adopt a model and attach it to your chief and council system that builds in the free, prior, informed consent of the nation. Or the people can say, I am not being represented under the Indian Act on rights. My Indian Act chief represents me on matters pertaining to the Indian Act And therefore, I'm going to take my rights over here. Where you take your rights is important, because we're just now starting to build these consent-based processes where rights holders can have a say. I believe that each chief and council in this country can build a model that attaches around the existing system, but allows free, prior, informed consent. It's really easy. I just spent 20 years figuring out how to make it easy. So if anybody wants help, call me. I'll help you. So that's it for now. Those are the 2 deals of the century that I'm showing Trump how to make deals. And then tomorrow we're going to go and talk about maybe France and religious freedom. Let's talk about religious freedom. And then we'll talk about France. Because Emmanuel Macron, I know you and I are going to have a conversation. I just know we're going to have a conversation, because in my mind, you are the most important person in this equation, because we had hundreds of years of great relationships, and you're not tied to us from treaty, or you don't need to defend yourself in law. All you have to do is rise up as a leader and an ally and a friend to the Mi'kmaq people. So that's for France, Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron. I will be coming for you tomorrow. For that, everybody, thank you for putting up with me. I try to do TikTok, but I'm too confused by everything, and I didn't do a good job. But stay posted. We're going to do an invite to King Charles. We're going to start a petition to King Charles, and we're going to light a sacred fire soon. The ancestors want a fire, and it's coming. We just don't know when. Sit Nogama, everybody.